All right, welcome back everybody to Fire Emblem. We are working our way through the rest of this mission with Sonya, who I hate. She's a bitch. Hope she dies. Oh wait, she will die. I'm sorry. Sorry, misspoke. That's the point of this episode. Mission is to kill Sonya. So, any hoops and hollers. We're gonna continue to move down. We do have to watch out for some of these guys because we're starting to get to the point of the game where the computer's going to, or the programmer's chosen between one of two routes. We're either going to give you these overpowered guys that have ungodly stats that they probably shouldn't, like, I don't know, like a Cavalier having 25 resistance. I'm sorry, not a Cavalier, a Paladin with like 25 resistance, but not that great a defense. Or in this case, we're going to go down the other route, which is just slap silver weapons slash like hero level weapons on all the characters. So, like in this case, they're all wielding silver weapons. Why? Because silver weapons are lighter than steel weapons, but they're stronger than steel weapons too. And the fact that they'll ultimately use up their 20 uses, oh no. Yeah, I'll have them killed before they used up their 20 uses, or they'll kill me, one or the other. So. My point being, you know, this is, instead of, I get the fact that you want to get through the game, you don't want to make it impossible for your players to have to basically fight. Every fight is a boss fight. You don't want that. I get that. But at the same time, like, slapping on silver weapons is just lazy. We're gonna give them killer axes. All the axe users are now wielding killer axes, so they've got, you know, plus 10% crit. And all of your sword users are now going to be using, let's say, hero weapons that automatically attack twice. So they attack you twice before you get to retaliate. So they either go from hitting twice immediately to hitting up to 4 times. Rough. What else? A lot of bolting spells, lots of sleep, silence, that sort of stuff. We see that when there's lots of mages on the stage. What else? I don't know. We'll figure it out. And then, you know, obviously this thief's coming in to steal whatever's in this treasure chest, which I should be able to get down there because I've got some. I do have some force units here, so if I can blast through this wall here of generals, I should be able to easily get down there in time. Heath's in that area too, so I could probably use Heath to eliminate the thief that's down there. But gotta watch out because there's still some mages down there. There's a druid who's wielding sleep staff, and I haven't really taken a look at him yet, but I think he may also have. You have to watch out, make sure he doesn't have Luna on him, because Luna's so fucking broken. Just ignores resistance, which is... you feel like there should be a trade-off there? Like, oh, Luna's like really fucking heavy, so you can, like, even the strongest mage can only hit once. But it's not. And because you're eliminating resistance, you wouldn't think that it could be as strong as it is, because you're basically saying everyone has 0 resistance. And the attacks, or the magic stat, basically makes this spell ridiculously broken the higher your magic is. Here's another one. This is old internet, but there's a song goes, dance, you're gonna get. That one pops up in my head every so often. We're gonna keep moving along here. Got some stuff we want to do. Want to get our thief up, Legault up to where the treasure chests are. I gotta finish cleaning them out with Keith, who I gave him Delphi Shield, so he is immune from the damage of the special damage of archers. Also, he's got defense. Also, he's got health. Also, he's got speed, skill. He's evading like a champ, like a boss, like a friend fiend. So yeah, that'll be fun. Everything's fun. Everything's great. Great, good, great, good, good, and great. So, this episode, I started reading a book recently. It's can't remember what it's called now. I don't have it in front of me either. But it is like Think and Grow Rich or something to that extent. So about 10 or so years ago, 15 years probably now, I was reading I was in sort of a bad mind funk. You know, basically everything around me seemed to be going wrong. You know, graduated from college, couldn't land a job in my profession, or even something related to my profession. Ended up working for retail for a while, call center for a while, before ultimately landing in a position where I'm, I would say, doing what my degree was in, but I feel more comfortable with what I do. It sort of hits some of those key aspects of what makes me as a person fulfilled. But between the time when I worked retail and when I worked for the call center, I started reading self-help books because I was in a rut. I didn't want to be working retail. I didn't want to be doing any of this. It was miserable. I hated it. Everything seemed to be going wrong in my life. And there was a lot of, like I said, I started reading self-help books to try to get myself at least an idea of what I wanted to do. Like, there's got to be something more beyond what I'm doing right now. What am I? So again, knowledge person, want to learn before I do. You know, understand what am I walking into, the whole strategy, whatever you want to call it, BS. Okay, and so I started reading self-help books in the hope that I could garner some information that would help me move forward. It would help me become a better person. So I'll try to make a long story short for you guys. A lot of the stuff that I read in the self-help book is similar to what I'm reading in this you know, Think and Grow Rich book. Okay, and that is very much number one with the bullet has to be, and I probably mentioned this in one of my many episodes. What you think determines what you get out of this life. Okay? You can call it whatever you want it. You can call it divine intervention. You can call it positive attitude. You can call it whatever you want, but people are attracted to positive people. People that look forward and they see the world not as it is, but what it can be. And you can call that whatever you want to call it. You want to call it foolishness. You want to call it naivety. You want to call it, you know, dreamers. But I mean, ultimately, that is how we as people, as a society, advance. If you very much believe that nothing can be changed and nothing good can happen, then nothing good will ever happen, and no change will ever occur. Now, if you believe, on the other hand, that there is essentially good people out there, there's good in people, there's good in society, there is possibilities, there is untapped potential in people, then you're more likely to succeed in this world. Because not only do you have a sunnier, brighter, more positive disposition, but you are more able to turn that and get people that also can either believe you or they at least have the feeling that you are leading in the right direction. Than a person who's going to stand up and go, well, the world's terrible, everything sucks, nothing's going to change. And I get that. I've been there. I'm even there some days of this post world, you know, this more positive version of myself so that I've created. But what I'm trying to get at is that did not happen overnight. I didn't just go to bed and wake up and I was a different person. You know, it required a lot of maybe not heartache, but it was a lot. It required me to basically undo who I was before and to basically create a new person. And I guess I'll tell the story then. So, when I was still working retail, I had a lump on the side of my face. And if I've already told this story, I apologize. I don't remember what episodes I do anything in anymore, because I've been doing this for 3 fucking years. It's hard to believe. I would have only assumed that it's been 2 years, but no, it's been 3 years and over 1,000 episodes. But get back to my point. I had a very negative way of thinking about everything was just terrible, you know, awful. Nothing's ever going to improve because, you know, in a way, I didn't actually think. I wasn't thinking ahead at that point. Like, and I still don't do it in a lot of cases. Like, I'll look at today and I'll see what's going on, and I'll make an evaluation based on what I'm seeing. But the common sense advice that a lot of people would have, I seem to ignore. And I did it when I was in college, because a lot of people came to me, and you know, you can look at this however you want. I'm gonna give it a religious spin, just for kicks and giggles, okay? People were coming to me, both from their own personal experience, but also in a way I feel like God was sending them to me to say, hey, you need to think about what you're doing right now, because what you're suggesting is going to require a large sacrifice, and I don't think you're up to it. And ultimately, at the end of the day, we make our own future, okay? We get to make our own choices in this life. The people around us, whether they're influenced by their own, like I said, their own experiences, their own knowledge, their wisdom, or if it's some, you know, like I said, something that God brings you and tries to help guide you. You're not gonna send an angel down per se. Well, at least he's not gonna do it for me, I don't think. At least I don't know. But you're gonna have people in your life that are gonna come down, and they're gonna be there as people who are sent there at this moment to help you. And you are sent to places to help people as well, okay? So, back to the story. I had a lump on the side of my face that it kept growing. There was this little round marble thing on the side of my face. And in my heart of hearts, I knew, based on what the information that my brother had a friend who had something similar. It turned out to just be a non-cancerous growth. Well, I was very much in that ballpark. Well, that's what I have. I had no doubt in my mind at any given time that this was a non-cancerous lump on the side of my face. And still to this day, I you know, if you say, well, it could have been cancerous, weren't you worried about it? No. I'm just telling you the truth. You know, whether or not there was a small part of me in the back of my brain that was worried, perhaps it was cancerous, I refuse to acknowledge that possibility. Okay, ignorance, stupidity, just plain faith and belief that this is what it is, and I'm not going to accept any other outcome. And again, because I have no other better explanation, I'm gonna give it. I'll put it up and say that God protected me, and the Lord was watching over me, and He said, "It is not your time yet. It is not time for you to get sick and pass. You have things I need you to do, people I need you to meet." Okay. And I understand that just all might be dumb luck. I get that. Or that's just your biological makeup, that happened because something kind of went haywire in your body, but it was sort of a thing that wasn't ultimately bad. Okay? But we're gonna nip it in the bud now, okay? So when I got out of there, they had taken the lump out of my thing, but I was kind of swollen. And I knew I would be swollen. I knew I would have some sort of damage, whatever. I would be, I'll give, I guess I can, you bump your head. What happens? You get a lump on your head. Because that's what happens. It fills up with whatever pus or whatever it is, to help that area that you just damaged to heal. You know what I mean? If you strain your muscle or you pull a ligament or something, it's going to take a couple days. It's going to hurt. It's just the nature of things. It's just the way things are. But I was under pretty heavy sedatives, and I was very... my emotions were very vulnerable at that point. Like, everything that I had suppressed up to that point, basically, I didn't have a filter anymore to hold it off. And I basically, at that point, broke down. Like, mentally, physically... Well, not physically, mentally, I broke down. Because I didn't have my whatever you want to call it, super ego or ego to protect me from what I was feeling at that time. Because, again, I was so high... I'm going to use high as a word to explain what's going on. I was so high on the, the whatever you want to call that, stuff that they gave you to put you to sleep during a surgery. But I had no way to, like, really contain everything that had been going on in my life. And in a way, I chalk it up in this way is I had long wanted to be a different person, a better person, a happier person, a person who was not the person I was right there. And in order for you to be rebuilt as a person, you have to go through hardship. Whether that be, well, I'm going to start working out. Oh, my muscles hurt after I work out. It's a strain. My heart beats harder. I don't like that. That doesn't feel right to me. Don't worry, all of the stuff's going to come back here in a second, but don't worry about that. I'm not worried about it. But to get back to my what I'm trying to say is in a way, if you have a piece of, and I've said this before, if you have a piece of steel and you want to forge it into something else, what do you have to do? You have to put it into the fire, and you have to heat it up and melt it down from what it is right now to make it into what you want it to be. It has to be reforged. It has to be put into the fire and reforged. And that doesn't mean that you're just going to sit around and the metal's going to make itself by itself. No, you're going to need to get in there. You're going to heat it up to a point that it can no longer sustain what it was. And then you're going to take a hammer and you're going to beat out what you want. You're going to use the whatever. You're going to use a hammer, some whatever you want to call those things, pliers, I think. And you're going to reshape this into something new. And it's not going to be easy, and it's going to be hot, and you're going to sweat, and it's going to take time. You're not just going to go bam and it's done. Because otherwise you just have what you had before. And it's not something new. And so I say that because at the end of the day I ended up becoming a different person. And it was not easy. And I had to address some things that I had not addressed in my life. And my mom had made me go to therapy at some point because I had gone to college, and my main goal when I went to college was I was at a branch campus at Pitt. I wanted to get to main campus. I wanted to prove to myself that I could do it. So I focused down heavily on my studies, which left me not focusing on friendship, which in a way I was getting what I wanted, and in a way I was basically hurting myself because I've always tried to do things by myself, because there's nobody else that I can rely on other than myself. And one of the things that I learned after this point, after the surgery, where I basically thought I had lost part of my face, which I hadn't. I have a divot now on the side of my face. And there's some other side effects that I'm not going to get into that are part of my life that I'm never going to change. The missing piece of my face, which is, not the lump. I don't care about the lump. The missing piece of my face is because they were worried that that when they did the biopsy of the lump, that it came back cancerous, they wanted to make sure that they got rid of everything. So whatever was touching this lump, which happened to be a small salivary gland, they took it. They took it with it. And in a way, I wasn't really ready for that. Because again, I had convinced myself that the lump was non-cancerous, which it was. But I was also convinced that they were just going to take the lump and they were going to leave my face as is. And the very small amount that they took is hardly noticeable. At least I think it's hardly noticeable. And I don't know if it's people just being polite. I don't really care, to be honest. Whether they're just being polite or they never really truly noticed that there's a small divot on the side of my face that's different than the other side of my face. But it was at that point that I was able to do the following things. I was able to get a hold of myself, get a hold of my emotions, get a hold of my mental health, get a hold of what I wanted to do in this life, what I want to be in this life, where do I want to go. And I was able to, I'm not a perfect person. I'm working on it still, okay? And you hear me often say, just take the small steps. If you have a larger goal, take the small steps, because nobody gets to where they need to go without taking a step. You want to go from here to the other side of your room, you got to make a step. You got to get up out of your chair, you got to, walk from left to right, right to left, front to back, whatever. You need to make that progress. Now, for human beings, a lot of times this is simple. We don't let our bodies get to the point where getting up and walking from here to the bathroom has become such a chore, such a problem, that it's labor. It's so labor intensive to get up and go walk the 15 feet over here to the bathroom or walk up a set of stairs. And I get that. Different people have different things that have happened to them. My grandmother broke her ankle, never bothered to get it repaired. Because she couldn't afford it in a way, and that's sad. But I don't know. And maybe this makes me silly, and maybe this makes me stupid. But not only reading from that book, the self-help books I was reading at the time, but now reading through this book and seeing a lot of the same wisdom. How do you become rich? How do you become wealthy? How do you become successful? And the first couple chapters are focused on, first of all, do you believe that you can be successful? And then the second question is, do you have faith in what you're doing? If you don't have belief and you don't have faith in what you're doing, it's not going to succeed. It doesn't matter if you have all the other tools. If you don't believe in it, you're going to give up on it before you're going to give up too early. And if you don't have the faith that if this doesn't work out, something else will, then one failure or dozen failures is going to be what holds you back. So I'm going to continue reading this book, but I've run out of time here. So till next time, I hope you guys all have a good one. I hope I help somebody.